Greetings, YouTube. You know, recently I was asked to give some feedback on an issue that I realized in the 2,000 plus videos I've done on my channel in 2 years of MCOC content, I've never actually attempted. And so today is that day. And I might be an idiot for trying this because there are so many champions to talk about that I surely am going to miss out on plenty of them, and the comment section is going to be filled with, I can't believe you didn't talk about X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to try to be efficient, but I'm still going to make sure that I'm not so fast that I am not informative about the main points. There are new champions that are 4 stars that I simply don't have. I'm sure Cole Obsidian, for example, would easily fit into this video. And I'm going to have to do new versions of this video probably once every 2 or 3 months in order to make sure that I'm updated. But basically, here's the deal, YouTube. We're less than a week away from July 4th, and a lot of people are trying to become Uncollected, or maybe even Elder's Bane and eventually Cavalier. And obviously, if you're trying to become Cavalier, this video is going to do you no good because you can't bring 4 stars in Act 6. But there are so many people who are far better at this game than me who have messaged me that they beat the Collector and became Uncollected with 440 4 stars. That was not me. When we get into the Mystic Champ section, I will talk about how I downed the Collector, and it was cheap. But there were not very many guides out at that time to beat the Collector, and the only ones I watched, I didn't have any of the champs they recommended, literally 0. So I had to get real creative, and that brings us to today's video. So I'm going to go class by class and talk about the champs to basically help you with Act 5. I'm probably going to need to do a separate video in the next couple of days also just on the Collector himself because it has been forever, I think, since anybody has attempted to talk about that in the 2019 context of MCOC. But we're just going to go class by class, starting with science. I'm going to go fast. I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long, so I probably am going to miss some people. But hopefully, this will help you out there watching this if you're trying to become Uncollected and certainly complete Act 5. So, Quake is amazing. Quake is my favorite champion in the game. By the way, if you watch this and you're like, why are the PIs so high on my mastery setup? I do have double edge maxed out. I would recommend that if you are trying to really save units and revives, you max out glass cannon, but you do not go past that on the right of your mastery setup because you will be taking damage each time you do a fight. And with annoying nodes like, say, Bane, you're going to want to maximize your ability to not take damage from your own setup. Now, that might change if you're going to want to run full suicides and do certain champions, but in general, unless you have champs like Omega Red, for example, you're not going to want to do that. Corvus is another one I think that goes. But let's go back to the list, and let's just stay on the screen from now on. So, Quake, if you can play her right, especially if you don't have to worry about like stun immune nodes, she has taken down so much of Act 5 content. I have seen videos of people who go in with a 3-star Quake and destroy champs that are 10,000, 12,000 rated. So, pretty amazing. Now, besides that, I want to give a huge shout out, and this is going to go in the Collector video too, to OG Hulk. Keep in mind that this guy has this awesome ability once he gets down to 20% health to increase his attack. So when it comes to level 1 revives, OG Hulk, 20% revives, great candidate for awesome damage. You could hold block at the beginning of the fight and take some block damage, go down to like 18% health even, and then just go ham. And if you've got that guy up in ranking, like to rank 5 like right now, I love OG Hulk. Highly underrated. Electro, maybe, right? Maybe, but it's still not going to be the best option. Certainly not in the science class as well. Captain America Infinity War is a great candidate, particularly if you can build up those special 2 charges. I have seen a lot of people do serious work with MODOK. All they do is parry and heavy. It's the MODOK cheese. So I think he deserves some shout out. Certainly Spider-Gwen and She-Hulk have become great honorable mentions in this. Gladiator Hulk, I'm sure if you are skilled with Gladiator Hulk. Luke Cage on certain paths, outstanding, not only for power control, but also, of course, that bleed immunity. Void, could be a huge MVP. Spam that special one, and then like a fine wine, he just gets better with age. You just let that damage increase and increase. And certainly, if you're going up, Act 5 has a lot of BS regen nodes, like buffet. I see people like the Americans who are like, it's buffet, like the food, all you can eat. But buffet is what a lot of people tell me to call it, so we're going to do that. But yeah, I would say Void. I know people, you combine Red Hulk, certainly if we get into synergies discussion, the Red Hulk Domino synergy with the Domino Cheese and the heavy attack will do it justice. But yeah, I also want to say, back in the day, I cleared quite a bit of content with my Awakened Yellow Jacket, because that Power Sting, you're going to either get some awesome damage if they use a special, or a guaranteed stun if Awakened. So yeah, that kind of goes the overview. I don't know, the Thing might be amazing, Wasp might be amazing. I haven't used any of those in terms of mainline attacks, so I'm only really speaking in this video as I try to go fairly quickly on who I've had experience with, or who I have seen used by other people. Okay, 4 stars. Blade is the MVP for one big reason of Awaken, and that is that infinite regen when you convert power to regeneration up to, 71%? I think that is the main reason why people ask me all the time, should I rank up this or this to try to become uncollected? If you have Blade, especially Awaken, you will save yourself so many units and revives and potions by just being patient, dashing back. When you take a hit, dash back and regenerate. That's my best advice. Be patient. As far as other champs, Hawkeye, I've seen be an MVP. And then let's talk a little bit about OG Daredevil. If you have OG Daredevil at a high sig, in this case you see mine's 99, the ability to bypass all projectiles, let's just say that this guy also comes in handy with the Collector as well, at least until the ability accuracy reduction kicks in. I want to give a shout out to one of the most underrated and underappreciated champions in this, Hawkeye. His special one is incredible, particularly with the Awakened ability. I love adding that extra damage of the hemorrhage, but more than that, the power control and the bleed damage in general. Spam that special one, be patient, use parry, your best friend. Besides that, I've had people tell me that they've had a lot of luck with OG Black Panther, stacking the bleeds. Obviously, if you've got Aegon, high sig, build the combo, easy game, easy life, as the great Seaton would say. Crossbones, I've also seen do quite a bit of damage with just his unique passive abilities. Nick Fury, synergy-wise, I'm sure is great. That is a new luxury for those of you who have him. Gwenpool also dominated at times. Black Widow used to dominate more. If you pair her with Quake, that will certainly help the synergy aspect. Again, there's a lot of people I'm sure I'm missing, but I'm trying to make sure I only cover the basis overview, so this video is not half an hour long. All right, look at all the straight bangers of the Mutant class. And I don't even have all the 4 stars of the Mutant class. In fact, I think I just recently got Emma Frost. I couldn't even remember if I had her. And I don't have, some mutants. But in general, Archangel, spam the heavy attack, build those neurotoxins. I've seen a ton of damage for Archangel, particularly like I talked about with Void on those regeneration nodes. Rogue could be solid between the Life Steal and Power Steal, the Special 1, Special 2. Iceman is an MVP with certain annoying fights, like, say, OG Spider-Man and Nightcrawler, when it comes to stopping that evade. You also can tank those Special 3s, assuming that you have the ice armor up. X-23 and Wolverine, I'm going to give a shout out in this video to regeneration champions. Never underestimate the power of regeneration champions. If you choose to use suicide masteries in this run and risk recoil and poison damage, bleed damage, etc., champs like Wolverine and X-23 are MVPs because you can get some of that back just by keeping your power up. Now, Omega Red is also a champion that I would have loved to have back in the day when I had no resources whatsoever for that collector fight. I do believe if you have him at a high sig, along with, say, full suicide masteries turned on in this case, you're going to be doing a crazy amount of damage even against the collector. Domino, particularly when I talked about combining with that Red Hulk synergy, that's how I beat 90% of variant number 2 was just the domino cheese, as they say. Parry, heavy attack. If you've got Massacre as well, you get that full ability to land that heavy every time. Havoc, still one of my favorite champions. Crazy damage, probably best special 3 damage I've seen at the top of the list, certainly. From there, we can scroll down. Emma could be a good option. I haven't really used her, so I can't speak to that. And by the time that some people watch this in the months to come, maybe Colossus will be buffed, and maybe he'll be a great option, but not right now. And Old Balls Logan, compared to X-23 and Wolverine, definitely not worth mentioning. Some people also really like Sabretooth, particularly with that Void and Killmonger synergy, so that's worth mentioning. Nightcrawler can also do quite a bit of damage with Havoc. Again, this is an overview. I could talk forever about that, but we're moving on to the Cosmic class. So, Medusa, particularly with her synergy team, is going to be a straight banger. But I get nervous about synergy teams, even with Ghost, because you're really handicapping so many of the champs. When you handicap, you make it to where, okay, now I've got to throw in Ant-Man. And even though Ant-Man can hit harder, you would never use Ant-Man over, say, a Blade. Angela is great, but not the top option. Hyperion helped me so much in the latter chapters of Act 5. Hyperion is a champion that I believe is a perfect champion. From specials that stun, crazy incinerate damage, an amazing heavy that builds fury for days, special 3 with a crazy amount of damage, as well as, of course, the power gain. I do want to give a shout out, and I will, to the tech class as well when we get there, but I can't tell you how many quote-unquote noobs have told me that their best champs is either Superior Iron Man or Iron Man really do them well, particularly on the Bane node chapters of Act 5, because you're going to lose health, almost guaranteed, unless you're perfect every time, and almost no one is. That Arc Overload will save you so many units. It is not even funny. And yes, I wish they hit harder. They both deserve a major buff in terms of their attack damage, but the regenerate damage of their awakened ability cannot be underscored. Also love OG Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel for this. I do not really have the experience to use the new Captain Marvel. I forgot I even had as a 4-star. The MVPs of this as well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Corvus. I also didn't realize I had a 4-star call. This is exciting stuff. I just have too many 4-stars, YouTube. Too many 4-stars. Corvus is amazing, particularly if you can build those glaive charges with mutant defenders and tech defenders. If you can look at a path and say, okay, I'm going to use Corvus in these 4 fights, and then by the time I get to the boss, I'm going to get up to, say, 4 glaive charges, or at least 3 glaive charges. Certainly if you have Proxima Midnight, that synergy helps as well. So yeah, Venom the Duck, if you can play with him well, Act 5 MVP, variant MVP. So yeah, I know that was a quick overview. Venom's going to be amazing for certain fights, though the Buffett node kind of detracts from Venom's cancel out the evade, and I've seen a lot of people who have complained about that. They'll file a help ticket with Kabam, and then they'll say, oh, actually, it doesn't work for that, and it's kind of BS. If you have either vision for power control, especially with those Suicide Masteries turned off, you're going to be doing yourself a huge favor. OG Vision, obviously you can control the fight at the beginning with the synthesis at a high sig, but don't sleep on Age of Ultron Vision for those of you that couldn't afford the opportunity to buy the OG Vision unit special. Ultron is another straight banger that, between the regeneration, and if you have him awakened, even taking some energy damage and converting that to regeneration, that is so useful. OG Iron Man, once again, shout out for the sake of this video with the Arc Overload, and Stark Spidey, I still think overall is the Collector MVP. I've seen people do amazing work against the Collector with champs like Dr. Voodoo, for example, which we'll get to, but Stark Spidey is an MVP. Also, huge shout out, Nebula with Proxima Midnight Synergy. I talked about regeneration champs. Nebula's got some good regeneration skills, but beyond that, if you start the fight with the Proxima Midnight 10 shock charges built up, you can make so many easy fights out of that because almost no one is shock damage immune. Ghost, huge MVP if you can fight with her well, especially if you've got the Quantum Realm Trinity, though I also add the Hood in there as like the Quantum Realm Musketeers, 4 Musketeers. Yondu, highly underrated for Act 5 when it comes to the special one, from bleed damage to that awesome heal block. And I used Civil Warrior back in the day for power control. It's not going to make the list. I would be remiss to not mention Star-Lord. It's kind of easy to forget about Star-Lord now and where the game is, but if you can build that combo high, Star-Lord is who I used to take down the final Ultron boss of Act 5, the final chapter, and just in general, so much of the content, because even in the chapters where you're going to get that weakness because that class disadvantage is going to give you the ability to hit less hard, Star-Lord with the high combo can still kind of bypass that and do amazing damage. He was my MVP for so many of those annoying chapters, and obviously the same will go for champs like Aegon, who I've already touched on. Again, I know I'm going fast, but we only have one class left, and I wanted this video to be under 20 minutes, and we're already at 15. Ghost Rider with Blade and Stark Spidey will be the beautiful OG Holy Trinity that I would certainly recommend. Even if you can just take Ghost Rider and Blade in, the ability to cancel out the villain's special ability with Danger Sense is so vital. Dr. Voodoo is an MVP, though I feel like Dr. Voodoo has kind of gone down a little bit in terms of his tier at the top of this class, just because there's so many straight bangers. But still a huge MVP against the Collector, and the ability to have that regeneration at the beginning of the fight, along with special 2 power control. You're going to enjoy Dr. Voodoo. Mephisto, underappreciated, particularly with some synergies. Scarlet Witch used to be able to do this by herself, right? Particularly Act 4 before patch 12.0. But now she's still an amazing option. I always recommend, if you got this White Witch, to awaken the White Witch, or White Whale, depending on what you call her, since some people have been playing this game for 4 years and still have never opened her from a 4-star crystal. But make sure you put as much Sig stones into her as possible. She really does benefit from a high Sig. The Hood, underrated. Guillotine, underrated, particularly for that reverse healing. The Void, I think, does it better. Morningstar, if you can build up her souls, I have seen some amazing Morningstar damage. If you're wondering how I took down the Collector, I kid you not, it was Juggernaut. This was my strategy. Save up, hoard, make Kabam Mike not sleep at night because you're hoarding so many crystals with unhealthy behavior. Hoard those 4-hour free crystals for days, months, years. Build up all the special, or level 1, revives you can get. And then at the start of the fight, you're going to be unstoppable. Charge forward. You might take 1 or 2 hits, but it's not going to be less than your health, assuming you have him at probably rank 4, but hopefully rank 5. And then you just get in 1, maybe 2 combos. Sometimes I would do up to like 7 to 8% damage if I got the initial 5-hit combo in, had a successful parry, and then did a second combo. If, for whatever reason, you start to see regeneration come up with the Collector, just quit out of the fight, use a level 1 revive, rinse and repeat. Yes, you're going to be burning some revives, but this was my best chance. My OG Daredevil was not a high Sig back then, so I tried him, but it didn't work well. Juggernaut was my best guarantee for landing damage, starting to fight by dashing forward, intercepting. Don't try to parry, don't try to block. Don't try to take any kind of block damage. Just dash forward, take advantage of the unstoppable, and move on. Iron Fist, not really a top option. I do love stacking the armor breaks, but I just wouldn't recommend him. Symbiote Supreme, I'm sure, will be amazing on certain paths, but I really don't have the experience with Symbiote Supreme in Act 5 to speak on his behalf. Dormammu, kind of the same thing. Amazing power control. You can do those double mediums at the start of the fight and kind of keep the control of the power up. This is why I'm starting to see more and more videos of Dormammu as an MVP against, say, the Map 5 Hyperion mini-boss that's now new in Alliance Quest. But yeah, for those of you, have any of you watching this used Dormammu? At the very bottom, let's not forget about, it's magic, you know. Still one of the best, if not the best, power control champion in the game if you can have the ability to spam that special 2. I use magic almost every day in Alliance Quest, and I don't have a single mastery point in Mystic Dispersion. It doesn't matter. As long as I can get to that special 2, I can still control the power the entire fight. There are so many champions, YouTube, that I'm sure I missed, but I wanted to do this justice in terms of length, and so I just want to say thank you for everybody who is watching this. Thank you to those of you who have asked me to make this, to inspire me to actually take the 20 minutes out and just do it. I know this was a very fast video. I'm going to need to do a separate one at some point, hopefully in the next few days, on the Collector. But in the meantime, I wanted to get this out and able to have people kind of digest it. Good luck. I always get asked, if you're going up against the Collector for the first time, how many units should I hoard? I think safely at least 1,000. Hopefully you also have some of those 4-hour crystals saved up for potions and revives, etc. So again, thanks for watching. Good luck if you are watching this and you're trying to complete Act 5, either become uncollected or beyond. Just remember that it takes patience. Come into each fight with a plan. Look up other channels and other videos. There's so many great MCOC YouTubers out there that have guides to complete certain paths. If you're just doing to look like the easiest path for initial completion clear, there are great ways for you to save time and units and potions, revives, etc. Whew, I'm out of breath. I'm in this video. Again, thanks for watching. Good luck with all of your 4-star rank ups and fights.